Hey, here we are once again. Do you have the audio on that?
Yeah,
I can hear it.
Volume on. Let me turn this shit down.
Yeah, turn that shit down. Celtic Angel says she set her alarm so she could be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this shit was scheduled, man. Fucking Jenny keeps track of all this shit.
I know, because I keep telling, it's like, look, every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we do a 3 o'clock, we do a Sidetracks or a matinee. Yeah. I mean, you know.
It's
not hard to keep track of.
I was watching a free movie on YouTube. It was free for me. I pay for YouTube. I got that. I think it's called YouTube Red, isn't it? Or YouTube
Plus? Or
something.
something like that. I don't remember what it is.
It's because Cobra Kai was on there and I had to buy it.
Yeah.
They had one on there. They're playing it for free, called Daylight's End. I think is what it was called.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
It was pretty good. It was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely kind of an homage to Mad Max, the early Mad Max.
Yeah.
Like Road Warrior, and Omega Man, and Escape from New York. It's like post-apocalyptic. They got some kind of like a mutant virus. Kind of turns them into like a vampire. Cross between a zombie and a vampire, I guess.
A zampire.
A zampire. They're like a rage zombie, but they can't go out into the fucking sun that kills them.
Okay.
If you get bit, you turn into one. But they had a lot of cool guns on there, and the beginning of it I thought was better until they started adding a bunch of dialogue. It's not like
everyone stop talking.
Yeah, stop fucking talking. Well, it's not like the acting was bad. They actually had good acting in it. Had the black dude from Terminator 2. Remember the fucking guy who worked for Cyberdyne?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in it.
I can't remember that actor's name.
They had the guy who played Bishop in fucking Aliens 2. He was in it. And they gave those guys a lot of dialogue because they're well known, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't bad. It's just that with that type of movie, like Omega Man and Mad Max, and the whole appeal is that there's not a whole lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
It's like one thing happening after another. And every time they start getting into dialogue to try to flesh out characters, you're like, whoa, hold on. Why are we fleshing out characters? That's my reaction.
We don't give a shit about these people.
Why are we doing this? The more they're fleshed out, the less we fucking care about them. You know what I mean? Because that's really how those kind of movies go. You know, a fast edit. It's supposed to be up to your imagination of who these guys are. You're supposed to know who they are by what they're doing, not what they're saying. You know, and I see it as filler. I would have just taken the movie and probably edited about 15 minutes of dialogue out of it, and it would have fucking had a lot better. You should see it. I don't know. You probably wouldn't like it. I
have heard of it, so it can't be that obscure.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't gotten around to watching it.
A lot of good gunfights, cool guns, cool equipment, you know, survivalist guys and gangs, and fucking the main character is kind of like a Mad Max type guy. Got his fucking suppressed M14, a bunch of cool gear. And he's got a fucking a 1972 AMX all fucking armored up, kind of like Max and his fucking little Thunder Shark. I forgot what that fucking car is called. The XB Falcon, that's what it was. Kind of like that, you know. Although the car makes an appearance in the beginning, it's a rattle trap. It makes an appearance in the beginning, but then eventually you don't see it anymore, you know. They kind of left the car hanging. There wasn't any fucking car action, you know, like chases and shit. Mm-hmm. There should have been, but I don't think they had it in the budget.
Yeah.
Mostly just like the tone was more like a Walking Dead than Mad Max a lot of times. You know?
Yeah.
But I recommended it to people on Tom Shitty Movies and sent the link if you guys want to see it. Wasn't bad. I
do kind of look through the free YouTube movies sometimes because every now and then they have like a really good one in there. Like I said, I was very excited a few months ago to find out they had The Secret of Nim on there, and I was like, ooh, I want to watch that animated movie. Sanders was very glad that I hadn't poisoned you last night.
Yeah, I'm alive.
You're still alive. I wouldn't do such a thing. And then they were talking about Robert Blake because Deborah said that she had seen something with a young Robert Blake and how you kind of looked like him when you were younger.
People used to say that a lot.
Yeah. And he actually was arrested for the murder of his wife.
Yeah.
Bonnie Lee Bakley, but he got acquitted. Honestly,
I'm pretty sure he did.
I don't know because I wrote about that case for my book, and I don't know. It just seems like, I mean, yeah, it's super fishy that it was like, that he went back into the thing. It's like, oh, I forgot my gun in the restaurant or whatever. He left it in the booth. And then he came back and she was dead. But his gun and the gun that shot her were two different guns.
Yeah, his was unfired.
You know, I'm not saying that he might not have paid somebody to do it, but I don't know. To me, it just seems like it might have just been, I don't know.
There's actually some shit that was kind of fishy about one of Shat's wives. Wasn't she? She was found dead. Wasn't it him that she was found dead floating in the pool?
Was it William Shatner?
And then he fucking called the damn, my wife is dead in the pool. And you could tell he's acting. He's kind of acting. And he's like
just like on Star Trek.
I'm pretty sure it was
fucking
the fuck William Shatner. You guys correct me if I was wrong.
Is dead.
Yeah, she's dead in the pool. My God.
Jim.
Yeah, Jim. It's almost like Star Trek.
Oh shit.
I think it was William
I
Shatner.
do remember hearing something about that vaguely, but I can't remember. Like, I don't want to say, it was William Shatner, but it's like...
Yeah, he found her dead floating in the pool. And turns out she was on a bunch of pills. And she must have fallen asleep while she was, like, on a damn raft.
Yeah.
And somehow, those little fucking inflatable
Yeah,
rafts.
yeah.
And somehow fucking drowned while she was in the pool. Or it was some kind of suicide. They don't know. She was out there for a few hours. And I think it was Shat, man, if I'm correctly. Shat found her and fucking called 911. And sure enough, she was dead. She was dead. But,
I mean, accidents do happen. It happens, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just that his call to 911, it sounded fucking awful hokey.
But you don't know if that's just because that's what he sounds like?
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know.
Because you would hate to say that, like...
there was some shit about insurance, I think, or she had a long drug problem and he was going to divorce her and that he probably would have lost a lot of money. And it was... I just remember that back in those days, we're talking, I think this was early 80s, if I remember correctly. It was considered fishy back then, but I think it's just forgotten.
Well, anytime anybody turns up dead floating in a pool, that's always kind of fishy.
Yeah. And he was there at home with her, like all day.
Yeah.
She just went out to the pool on her own. And he was doing his own thing, and then fucking he went out there and
that's not that weird.
No, it's not that weird. It's just...
But like I said,
they made it sound weird.
Anytime that happens, and that's really horrifying because, like I said, accidents do happen. In fact, I'm reading a book right now that is like a mystery. I'm going to be reviewing it like in a couple weeks on my Tomes of Terror show. But
you ever said, it is Shatner's wife.
Yeah, I thought it might have been.
Yeah.
But where this woman like seemingly tripped on a vacuum cleaner thing and like fell down the stairs and broke her neck. And everybody thought it was an accident, but the thing is, accidents like that do happen all the time. But whenever that kind of thing happens where, whoa, maybe somebody pushed her, or maybe somebody like drugged her and put her in the pool or whatever, it's like there's always anything that you ever said to that person, anything that anybody ever like had to gain from that person being dead is gonna be fucking inspected. And it's like, even if it was just an accident, even if she was just a dummy and she like just tripped and fell down the stairs. Shit, I've fallen down the stairs lots of times. Not at this house, but because we don't have stairs at this house. But in the house I lived in the UK, the stairs were carpeted and really narrow, and I used to fall down that like every other day. So, good thing there was carpet. Otherwise, I probably would have broken my neck as well. And it would have been an accident because I'm just a fucking klutz. But yeah, so... I was thinking about another, person being found dead in a pool case that I wrote that actually happened in Britain that I was writing about for my book, too. It was, a famous guy. Not famous over here, but famous over there. Nobody over here knows who the fuck he is. But he was, kind of a big, TV presenter, game show host or something like that. And this guy, they picked up this guy at, a nightclub, and he invited him back to his mansion, for a party. There was a bunch of other people, too. It was, a party. And, they were all the drugs, all the booze, all the everything. And then he ended up dead in the pool, too. And everybody was like, we don't know what happened, man. He just must have, taken all the drugs and then fallen into the pool and drowned. But it was kind of fishy because they hadn't called the cops for, 2 hours afterward. It looked like somebody had, stuck something up his butt. So, you know what I mean? It looked like he'd been anally raped by an object.
Damn.
So they don't know if that was consensual or they don't know, you know what I mean? They don't really know what was going on. So, that was kind of, and I can't remember the dude's name, even though I wrote about it a little while back, but, So, after we did the show last night, we were actually going to because I have a couple like new movies that I want to watch that I want to like do a matinee on. But we didn't really, I mean, we weren't as drunk as we were like the week before, where it's like I just went in the room and took a tiny bite out of a sandwich and just fell asleep and didn't remember anything. I had pretty much sobered up by the time we got back in there, but I didn't really want to watch a new movie, so we said, well, we'll just do a sidetrack show and just talk about whatever. We just watched some more of The Stand. I didn't realize that was actually only 4 episodes, but the episodes were like 2 hours each. So the thing is like 8 hours long.
Is it 8 hours long?
I think, or
I thought it was 6.
It might be 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's just weird because, I mean, we're watching, like, Dominic sent us the Blu-ray, and so we just put it on, like, watch the whole thing. So it's not really, it doesn't do credits, it doesn't do anything like that. It just, like, is playing the whole thing like a movie. Pretty much the only time you know that there's a new episode is when the little title comes up, and because, you know, they have 4 different titles. Like, so we're at the part now, which is the third part, which I think is called The Betrayal, and we're right at the part where we're all like the good people all got together and are going out to Colorado, right?
Yeah. I was surprised to watch the movie how workmanlike the movie is. It goes right through it. It's real close to the book.
Well, Stephen King wrote the teleplay.
Yeah.
The funny thing about it is I was reading about it on Wikipedia earlier, and what I didn't realize was that they had been trying to get an adaptation of The Stand off the ground since the 70s, because like the book came out in 1978. And they pretty much, like, Stephen King and George Romero were interested in doing, like, a movie of it. And there was a couple, like, Hollywood execs and stuff that were really into that idea. And so it went through, like, so many different iterations. Stephen King wrote the fucking treatment, and the treatment ended up being, like, 8 hours long.
Yeah, you can't make that into a movie.
And then they were like, well, that obviously isn't going to fly. And then they kind of went back and forth. And actually, when they made Creepshow in 1985, that was supposed to be, like, fund, like, oh, thank you. Thank you, Xanada.
Thank you very much, bro.
Hope you guys had a good weekend. We did, yeah. That was kind of supposed to, if that was successful, that was kind of supposed to fund this. But, so, the fact that they had been talking about doing it since, like, 1979, 1980, and didn't get around to doing it until 1994... is fucking crazy. And I didn't even know this, but they asked Dario Argento to direct it. He was one of the first directors, and
you see where they copied Dario Argento in a lot of the shots.
Yeah, and he was like, well, I don't really like doing adaptations of other people's work generally. Yeah. Although he did later on, like he did Phantom of the Opera and shit, but yeah, so he didn't really want to do it.
That worked out, didn't it?
Well, the Phantom of the Opera one wasn't terrible. Yeah. The Dracula one was terrible. Yeah. But that wasn't really even an adaptation. I don't even know what the fuck that was.
Weird shit.
That was crazy.
That's the one I was actually thinking of, was the Dracula one.
No, he did Phantom of the Opera. I don't think you've seen Phantom of the Opera. No, I have to say, I mean, I love Dario. Look, like, he's one of my favorite filmmakers, but I don't really like anything after...
It's Ghostbit.
I love, you know what? I still really like the Stendhal Syndrome, which I think came out in the 90s, 96, I want to say. That's actually on Tubi, I think, for free, or it's on Shudder. I can't remember, because I just watched it not too long ago. I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty good.
It goes back to what I've been saying. Directors have a certain half-life.
They do, yeah.
They're good when they're young and they're trying to prove some shit and they're real hungry and they have a bunch of time to fucking fantasize about how the shit should be shot. After they fucking made 4 or 5 movies, maybe they start getting lazy. They just try to knock the fucking movie out. Or in the case of guys like Carpenter made excellent movies and then got shat on for his fucking movies. So he's like, all right, fuck you. I'm just going to make fucking...
I'm just going to make shitty movies.
I'm going to let other people make the fucking movie. It doesn't matter if the movie's good or not. Fuck it. That was the way Carpenter was.
You can understand that because it's like he made like a whole series of like brilliant movies, and everyone was like, meh.
Yeah,
like they didn't really do that well, and it's like nobody really, and you know, nobody wants to have to like sit around until they're like old and gray before people finally appreciate their shit, right?
That's finally what happened to him, but he got fucked.
He did, yeah.
He got fucked. A lot of those guys, and look, you know, even like James Cameron, you know. His word isn't really worth all that much either. He's come out with a lot of fucking bad shit. He was behind. The only thing good recently he was involved with was Alita Battle Angel, and I think he just kind of produced that. I don't think he did much work on it. Too bad we probably won't get a sequel, but that was a good one. One of the best movies of the year, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, movie. You know, in a limited capacity, it's like if they just want to like put their name on something and like give some money toward it, you know, to like maybe give it some gravitas, give it a little bit of cachet. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool to do that.
That Terminator Dark Fate was fucking bad. I just gotta say.
It wasn't that bad. It was just fine.
It was just generic.
Yeah. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was a perfectly fine movie.
That was the problem.
That's what I mean.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah. But it wasn't horrible. It was just like, kind of forgettable. It was just kind of forgettable.
And that's the problem. With fucking Terminator, that shit's supposed to be a fucking excellent fucking movie. That you're gonna go, oh man. But the problem is there've been so many bad ones now. It's hard to fucking, you know. There's only two good ones, 1 and 2. The rest of them, you could just, they're like you said, they're just forgettable. 3 maybe, but not really. And really, some people go like, well, 2 is the best of all time, T2. Not really. There was a lot of fucking shit that I didn't like about T2. The kid fucking was obnoxious. The whole leather daddy fucking angle of fucking him on the back with, you know, just to me, it just fucking kind of reeked of pedestry. I'm just going, man. Fucking, and it wasn't a horror movie. It's Terminator only works when it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's the fucking villain. That's what made that shit work.
Yeah, because he was scary.
Yeah, that's what made it. That's the reason why you remembered Terminator 1. Because fucking Arnold, man. With a fucking machine gun. Mowing people down inside a nightclub. All right? Killing cops.
Look, Mark came on and said first again.
Mark, get the fuck out of here, bro.
We're just kidding.
How you gonna come in here 20 minutes late and say you're first?
Well,
ban him.
That's the joke.
Silence him. Okay.
Don't really. We're just kidding. That was fucking funny.
I'm sitting here fucking talking shit. I got this fucking class clown coming in here saying first. 20 minutes.
Okay, I admit it is actually pretty funny.
That's like some shit I would do.
It is. Yeah, didn't James Cameron make a few documentaries in the last few years? Sandra asked. Yeah, he did do something about didn't he do something about the Titanic or something? Yeah, Tammy said he did a bunch on the Titanic. Yeah, he was like really interested in that kind of stuff. But yeah, and like we said before, I was like really as we've been watching The Stand like over the last few evenings, I had forgotten how actually really good it was. Yeah. Even though it's funny because Stephen King, I guess he wanted Mick Garris to direct it because Mick Garris had directed Stephen King's Sleepwalkers in 1992, even though Sleepwalkers is kind of awful. Yeah. I love Mick Garris, though. Although, he was the one that came up with the Masters of Horror series, which I love. But the few episodes that he directed in there, I didn't really like them all that much. He's like, I love Mick Garris as a person, but he seems like his directing is a little hit or miss. But The Stand seems really good, actually. Yeah. They're making a new one. Another series that's supposed to be out later this year, right?
I don't know. People in there, guys are agreeing with me that T1 was the better one. Look, man, this is the reason why T1, the whole reason why T2 existed was on the back of T1. I mean, all right. T1, what made T1 great is that it was a fucking horror movie. It's basically Jaws. It's a robot, though.
Yeah.
And it teased you with so much shit. Like, it showed you the future, and you saw a little bit of it, and that shit didn't look good. All right? And there's something about not being shown too much. You know what I mean? It was better to see only a small amount of the future. Now, T2 came out, and I have to say that was a good movie. But that was a totally different kind of movie. That was an action movie.
Well, it was almost kind of like the Aliens thing.
Very, very much, very similar.
And for the same reasons, I love both those movies, but I love Alien 1 the most because it's more like, it's a horror movie. It's not like an action movie. I love Aliens as well. But...
Alien 1 or 2, I'd put them on par with each other in greatness, but they're two different movies.
Yeah, it's two different
genres. One's a horror
genres.
And one's a fucking action movie.
Yeah.
Action fucking thriller. And that's kind of the way T2 was. T2 was about fucking big cars flipping over and shit catching on fire and stuff fucking flying and trying to kill you and fucking trying to stop, you know. And Arnie's in it. And he is the Terminator, but he's kind of a good guy, which it works in the context of that movie because he's replaced with another Terminator, the liquid metal one. But there's something kind of emasculating about when you tell the fucking Arnie that he can't kill anybody. You know what I mean? It was kind of like the pussy Terminator in a way. It took the threat out of it. And
as we said, I think that Arnold Schwarzenegger
wanted that.
Plays a better villain.
Yeah, he's much better as a villain. I think.
Know? I mean, and I'm not
That's
saying...
why he didn't want to do it. He knew that.
I know.
Because he'd have been typecast.
You know, and it was probably the right decision because he does, you know, obviously he's still making movies nowadays. But I do think that, and I have seen movies in him where, you know, where he was the good guy that I liked.
Yeah.
But.
Namely Predator 1.
Yeah, like those kind of movies. Like, but I do think that he really, like, missed his calling.
Yeah.
Because I think he just makes a much scarier villain.
Yeah, he does.
He's
more believable as a villain.
He is, yeah.
Now...
It worked in Predator because that was kind of like his personality.
Yeah, I pretty much own all of Arnie's catalog, even fucking Collateral Damage, which was the worst movie of all fucking times. All right?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it was pretty bad.
That was okay. That was definitely the worst fucking Arnold movie. Collateral Damage was fucking terrible. All right. His best one, I'm gonna say his best work is in Predator 1, and I really fucking I'm gonna credit fucking Carl Weathers for that. I think Carl really pushed Arnold because Carl kept fucking with him about not being able to act and kept pushing him to do those scenes over and over and over again. And you can't just let Arnold. You just can't put Arnold.
You can't let him Arnie.
You just can't
about
cut
the place.
him loose. You can't cut him loose on a fucking sound stage or in a scene because he'll just do whatever he wants to do, and people will let it happen because he's Arnold. I'm like, okay, all right, that's the scene cut. You know, you got to put another big motherfucker up there to go. Oh no, that didn't know. And Carl,
don't do that.
Yeah, and Carl was the man for that. There should have been a lot more Carl and fucking Arnie team ups in the movies, but it just didn't happen. But there should have been a lot more of them. After that movie, man, Carl came out with a fucking movie called Action Jackson, and I fucking loved it. I saw it in the theater.
I liked that movie too.
I ought to get that on Blu-ray. Somebody send that shit to me.
I'll write it down soon.
Yeah, write that shit down.
Action Jackson.
Action Jackson. I haven't seen it. Everything. I haven't seen it in forever. I want to know if that shit still holds up.
I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it in a
When I saw Carl, first of all, I'm watching Mandalorian. I don't know nothing about it, and I'm looking. I went, wait a minute. Jenny was standing there. She was sitting there, and I was like, "Is that Carl?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's Carl Weathers." And I was like, "Oh!" So it's immediately,
yay!
Immediately, Mandalorian's fucking status fucking rose. I was like, "Okay," and he did a fucking great job in the Mandalorian.
He was good in that. I liked it.
Yeah, that's good. And the second season, he still should be in there.
Yeah, nothing happened to him. He didn't get killed. Spoiler alert.
He's
still alive.
And it's a character. That character is worthy of Carl. And Carl's looking good.
He is
actually.
Good.
Yeah, he looked real good. You know, and he's an old man.
He does not look that.
He's an
he
old
does not
man.
Look
he looks
that
good.
old.
He's at least 70, huh?
He really does. He's got to be.
He's at least 20 years older than me.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be in his 70s.
Yeah.
But really he doesn't look it. He doesn't
Black don't crack.
That's what they say.
They just fucking keep on going, man. And a lot of guys, you know, that were... Come on, you know, everybody knows, Carl will tell you, Carl wasn't natural. Carl was he was enhanced. And a lot of those guys come off that gear, they get real fat. And he didn't. He still stayed in good shape, big upper body and everything. He looked good.
Yeah.
Actually, Arnold's not looking that bad. I saw a recent picture of him walking around. He hit the gym again. He was looking a little rough for a while. Because, you know, changes, you know. Yeah, well, his heart's fucked up.
Yeah.
So he can't hit the gear and fucking sling a lot of iron like he used to kill him. So he's got to be real, you know what I mean? He's got to be real fucking gentle with himself. So he did build back some of that weight. We'll see. We'll see what he does.
Yeah.
I think he's been talking about doing King Conan or Conan the King. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I think the times for a Conan movie are gone. I don't know if they could actually do Conan anymore.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Because Conan's fucking not PC. If it's PC, it's just not fucking Conan. Dude who wrote that shit's a big old fucking Texan, and he wasn't crazy, but he wasn't PC. You know what I'm talking about?
Alex Rivera said Arnie went through menopause.
He meant menopause? He went through menopause?
He also said, I still stand by Twins, Arnold's finest work.
I haven't seen it.
I have, but it's been a very, very long time. I remember it being funny, but I don't know if I'd still find it funny nowadays, because like I said, I haven't seen it in a very long time.
I tried to get True Lies on Blu-ray. They won't do a Blu-ray release. They didn't like, the studio didn't like how it portrayed terrorists.
It's not on Blu-ray?
Not on Blu-ray. It's just on what do you call it? DVD. I got it on DVD. It looks good on DVD.
Yeah.
I like that movie. But they won't do a Blu-ray release. Bastards.
It was all right.
It was okay.
Michael Ventures said Arnold's best movie is Maggie. That was actually
pretty good.
That was a very, very good movie. We have that as well.
I got it. Yeah, he did. That was probably his best acting, I would say.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised.
But that movie itself is a drama. I'm still going to lean towards fucking Predator 1 as Arnold's best movie. I'm just, that's just my opinion.
I think Maggie is actually on Tubi right now for free if anybody wants to watch it. I think I remember seeing it on there.
And then right there with fucking Predator 1, maybe just a little bit below it, I mean just barely a hair below it, would be fucking Terminator 1. Now here's another one, man. A lot of people don't like this one. Jane's getting bored because I'm talking about Arnold. Emperor Arnold, okay? There's another one I like. I think it was called like the Fifth Day or something. Fifth Day or Sixth Day? I think it's about the clones. I think it came out in 2000. I liked that movie.
You showed it to me. It was all right.
It was kind of like the last of the classic Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like an Arnie flick,
Derek Newton says, I recently watched True Lies. The stunt doubling is terrible. Full face shots where you can clearly see it's not the actor. It's like watching The Naked Gun.
Yeah. It wouldn't have mattered, though. It wouldn't have mattered during that time because most copies of it would have been VHS on CRT TV. You wouldn't have fucking been able to see it clearly anyway. You could get away with a lot more back then.
You could, yeah, because like everything will just be fuzzy. No one cares.
I mean, didn't you notice that that's not Arnold Schwarzenegger being thrown around by the Predator? That's not Arnold.
Yeah.
You can clearly see that that's Jean-Claude Van Damme. Because he was the stunt doubling for it. You can see fucking Van Damme's face, the side of his face, getting tossed because that guy in that Predator suit couldn't toss Arnold. Arnold was too big.
Well, yeah, it's like I can't throw that guy. He's like 400 pounds.
Yeah, but Van Damme's not very big. He could toss him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Van Damme was more like a lean fella.
Yeah, and it looked better on camera. It made the Predator look bigger.
Yeah.
So they put a smaller, muscular guy up next to him.
Yeah, actually, that would make a lot more sense.
It makes Arnold make that monster look a lot bigger.
Dom the Bomb asked, "What did you think of the latest Rambo?"
I liked it.
Yeah,
it was all right.
It was pretty good, actually.
I liked it. I didn't think it was as good as
we saw it in the theater, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw it in the theater. Yeah. I need to buy that bitch. I got the poster from the theater too. They were handing out free posters. Right, yeah. I got it in my gym.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. There's an extended cut. I knew there was an extended cut, but they're selling an extended cut of it, and I'm hoping that it's got a scene where he cuts that dude's head off. Because remember, he cut that one dude's head off and put it in the bam.
Yeah, that's right.
And I said, why didn't they show him cut that dude's head off? So if I was directing this bitch, I'd have had a scene of him cutting his head off.
Well, I'm sure they probably did, and then it got trimmed later because they said, well...
It was not as good. I'm just going to be honest, man. I didn't like it as much as The Fight Continues. I think it's Rambo 5 or something? One where he
I lost track.
Goes into Myanmar.
The one where he just just kills everybody in the country.
Yeah. Machine gun and whole waves of fucking...
Myanmar, that had some choice gore in it. I have to say that was like one of the most violent movies ever. So I enjoyed it very much.
I also have
his body's blowing up and like fucking arms and legs flying everywhere.
I have to revisit the Expendables. I got all three of them. Sophie's coming down here the 18th, and she wants to see him. So I'll save them for her when she gets here.
Like all the Rambo movies?
No. Expendables.
Oh, all the Expendables movies.
Yeah, and here's the deal. A lot of people didn't like Expendables 3, the theatrical cut that they saw in the theater. They said it wasn't any good. And that had a lot to do with the fact that fucking what's his name was in it. Chuck Norris was in it, and you can't cuss in a movie that has Chuck Norris in it.
Yeah, he's got to stick up his butt about how when they so
they cut that movie up into a piece of shit evidently, and it didn't really work too well. But I never what was that?
Me?
Oh, okay. Well, I never seen the theatrical cut. I have an expanded edition of it, and part 3 was great, and it had cussing in it, had all kinds of shit in it. And
well, maybe they just said after like Chuck Norris got off the set, they're like, all right, fuck that.
Yeah,
guy.
Fuck Chuck. And then they put it. It's so funny because they're trying to get fucking Steven Seagal to do 4, and Steven Seagal, I'm not working with those guys because he knows that if he fucking goes on that fucking,
because he'll get called out.
They're gonna call him out and make fun of his fucking ass, his big old fat ass. He can't be around.
You know what they should do? He probably sue them, and rightfully so. Yeah. But they should take like clips from some of his other like direct to DVD movies and like splice them in there, because you wouldn't have to like even do anything. No, because you don't need him to be there because he wouldn't be there anyway. He would just be like sitting there. So it's like they could just cut away to him like sitting there and like looking around.
Why the fuck
and it's like, look, he's in the movie.
Why the fuck would Steven Seagal be in your movie? He's not even in his own movies.
He's like, he's got peons to do that shit for him.
Yeah, he's sitting back at his place up in Russia drinking that Asian experience.
And eating ho-hos or whatever.
Eating ho-hos and Asian experience.
I don't know what he's doing.
That's fucking so
He's going to come to our house and beat us up. So no, I was just going to say, because you're not allowed to swear around Chuck Norris. So I guess pro tip, we can't ever have Chuck Norris over for dinner because I won't be able to talk at all. I'm sure he'll like not be worried about that.
All right, Don's telling me that Rambo: The Fight Continues was number 4. All right. Let's see. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he also has a bad wig.
Yeah, we were watching The Stand. The guy that played, I didn't know this either, but they went through a lot of different people like for who should play Randall Flagg. Yeah. Most of the people they actually wanted Christopher Walken or Jeff Goldblum or David Bowie, which actually would have been interesting.
For what?
For Randall Flagg in The Stand. But none of them were available, so they ended up with the guy that they got. And it's just like, I hate to say, but the guy's hair in this, it's like when I first saw him from the back, and I had forgotten all about it, and I was like, oh my god, the mullet. And I was like, he looks like Eddie Money.
Yeah.
And
what's funny is
the whole time I've been calling him Eddie Money.
In the book, he was described as that, though.
I know. They got it good.
Fucking mullet and shit.
They got it.
Yeah.
It's just funny to see it.
I think it was a poor choice for a movie, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made him look like that.
Yeah, because like I said, it's not real it's not real threatening when it's just like didn't
age well.
Some shit kicker dudes. Yeah. I'm just like, take me home tonight. Yeah. I'm the evil guy in the movie.
Stephen King's idea of badassery didn't always work out. It did. Fucking he would put some characters in books that he thought were real badasses, like fucking mafioso guys, and they would just say and do shit that just wasn't that badass. You know,
I'm sorry, sir, you're just not that badass.
Yeah, his dialogue is real fucking wannabe. You know, but he does. It's drugs and not being around too much, and his fucking dialogue for the black characters is fucking laughable sometimes. Just gotta say. Gotta say.
I guess so.
Gotta say.
Well, I said I really like the lady that plays Abigail and like Mother Abigail in this, Ruby Dee. She came out and she was actually married to Ossie Davis at the time, who was in this also. He was also in Bubba Hotep, which we reviewed a while back, among millions of other things he was in. But she apparently really wanted this role because she's like, this is, I've spent my whole life like doing, even though I was just like, oh my god. It's
I'm not talking about this movie in particular.
Yeah.
I was talking about just in general, his dialogue for black people and his dialogue, because he has a lot of them in a lot of even his short stories.
Yeah.
And his dialogue for Southerners and his portrayal of Southerners is obviously somebody who's never been to the South.
Well,
it's feel just stereotypes.
The thing about Stephen King, though, is that even a lot of the characters that are from Maine, which is where most of his characters are, a lot of them a little bit on the caricature side. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he's a stereotyping motherfucker. That's what he does.
You know what I mean? Which,
Yeah.
but he's done it over so many books
Yeah.
that's like kind of his hallmark, so it doesn't bother me as much
That's the
anymore.
tone of his books, I guess.
It is, but it's
Yeah.
like I said, even like his main characters that, you know, that are from the Northeast or whatever, some of them come across like with their weird like little witticisms and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's like, I don't know if anybody really talks like that.
No, he's
but,
imagining them talking like that, I think.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to write dialogue that sounds realistic, but you know.
Who am I to question the motherfucker? He's a multimillionaire.
Well, yeah, and
His
like
shit sold.
and like zillions of people all over
Yeah.
the world read his books,
Right.
so it's like,
Although,
I'm sure he really.
let's be honest. I'm gonna be honest, and you're gonna be honest. We can all be honest together.
That sounded like a song.
A lot of times, it's the right man in the right place at the right time. If Stephen King were to appear right now as a 20-year-old with those books in today's market, you wouldn't notice him.
Probably
There's
not.
a lot of them like that.
Although the fact that there's a lot of them like that is because he came out back then.
No, I'm
like
just-
everybody, you know
I'm
what I
just
mean?
saying, there's a lot of young guys writing horror. I don't think he would stand out from the crowd.
No, probably not.
It was because back in those days, you know what I mean? Everything was filtered through a media of printers and a bunch of agents and shit. They were deciding what people were going to get. If you fucking had a contract with the publisher and the book sold real well, you'd get another one and another one and another one, and it would build you up into a superstar. It doesn't happen today. Everything's fucking, you know what I mean? Everything's off of Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of shit's self-published. Because why do you want a middleman? You make more profit if you just do it yourself. Well, it's very difficult to become a fucking superstar that way. Because you don't have big corporations behind you pushing your material for you.
Yeah, they don't like have
There's
big
no
advertising
promotions.
budgets.
Right.
Because I think that's
what did it.
what did it. And
Yeah.
and even nowadays, like if you have the
Sure.
money to like actually promote yourself, yeah, you're going to get far.
Yeah.
Whether you're self-published or not. But it's
Right.
like if you don't really have that money, then you just kind of have to...
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get lucky and somebody will notice how awesome your shit is, but maybe you won't. You know?
Most of it's direct sell like what we do.
Yeah.
This is the way it's going to be in the future. But like you said, if you somehow... Why would you spend $1 million in advertisement for your book? You probably wouldn't get a return. But if you look right now, what you would do is fucking have somebody videotape you doing something fucking crazy, and then you go viral, and then they sell your books off that.
Yeah.
That's how the average person would do it today.
Yeah, just make a YouTube video of you
Make a-
doing something.
Yeah, like walking up and smacking a bitch. That woman who wrote Harry Potter, right? I get you on camera just walking up to her and just slapping her. Pow! And then we'll post, and then the cops fucking grabbing you and shit like that, and I'll post that shit up.
Might be worth it.
And then it'll be like, you know, yeah. You'd immediately fucking sell millions of dollars worth of fucking copies.
Mark says success is mostly luck and dong size.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm fucked then.
Hike them up a little bit higher, Jen. Hike them up a little bit higher. I'll fucking shine the top of that shit. We'll put some fucking powder there. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I know, right?
Yeah. Seriously.
How long have we been on, for Christ's sake?
Long time.
For like 40 minutes, for somebody that didn't have anything to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know. But I'm really enjoying rewatching The Stand. I'll have to reread the book. I haven't read the book since I was fucking 17 or 18 years old. That was a long time ago. I think I have it somewhere, but I don't have the because didn't he? As long as that fucking book is, I think I have like the original the paperback version, and didn't he do like an extended version which was like fucking 700 more pages because he just can't stop himself?
As if you need more of that book. You don't need more of that book.
Sorry, I just thought of a quote from Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
You're so cool, we need more of you.
Yeah.
But yes.
Really, you know, one of King's best books, I thought, was the one he did with Peter Straub, The fucking Talisman.
The Talisman.
I really liked that one.
I would be interested to see that filmed.
Yeah.
They did a follow-up to that. The
Did
Black House,
Mm.
I think, but I don't think I ever read it. Not that I remember. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick. I probably The Shining, Pet Sematary was a really good book. I mean, I read that in high school, and I just fucking loved that book. The one of his that I've read the most, weirdly, is his nonfiction one, Dance Macabre, which is all about horror from the 50s to the 80s. it's fascinating. Like all the shit about literature and movies and TV shows and like stuff like that. And he's like really insightful about what's scary and like what, you know, like he's good. Well, he was an English teacher for a long time, so he's good at kind of breaking down the themes and like all these novels and stuff, and I found that really interesting. But I've read that like a fuck ton of times, and I like his short stories as well, you know.
Yeah,
he has that program, Dollar Babies. He has a website, and you can go on there, and if you're gonna make a short film, you can option the rights to some of his short stories for $1. And you have them for like a year and a half or something like that. But you have to make a film out of it. You can't just like do it for the fuck of it. And it has to be a short film. And I don't think you can make money off it or something. But it's just like for students, you know.
Another one besides Stephen King, while you're reading all that, you know, King was cool. He wrote big old books. I was also into the little pulp series, novel series. One of them I was into was called Traveler. Did I tell you about that one?
I don't think so.
Traveler was fucking about a future post-apocalyptic America, and it was kind of like it was an Army Ranger guy who was and it was supposed to be taking place in the 90s, all right, late 90s, and he was like Mad Max. He'd run around in a fucking van that he had lined with bulletproof vests and had the thing fully equipped with like an engine that would burn fucking oil. It was a rotary engine. He had it all linked up where he could run it on vegetable oil or whatever. And he was fighting desert dudes and, you know, like desert fucking wastelanders. And then turns out as the story unfolds, there's fucking mutants and biological experiments and shit and monsters.
Cats and dogs living together.
It got more and more bizarre as it went, and it got fucking better. You know, it was back when you'd be in high school, you'd smoke some weed and read that shit and go, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And there was a lot of sex in it.
Well, you know, you like
that. He knew the fucking target. He knew the target fucking audience and everything. He eventually links up with this dude called Lynx, who's a fucking...
He links up with Lynx.
Yeah. His name is Lynx. And he's a genetically engineered fucking lynx, a cat. He's bipedal and he could talk. And nice. He got let out of a fucking research facility. And he was cool, he could talk. He didn't wear clothes or anything, but he could jump around, he could use guns, and he would get laid. He would. He'd meet girls that like him and he'd screw them.
Man, so that was like kind of ahead of its time with the whole, because that's like a huge erotica subcategory.
Way ahead of time. Yeah, and like all the girls liked him.
Is like were animal type stuff.
Yeah. Traveler would get pissed off. I forgot what his real name was. It's been a long since I read.
He's like, God damn it.
He was an ex-sergeant guy. Yeah.
Catman's getting laid.
Yeah, Catman steal all the girls and shit.
Catman.
He's like, damn, you know what I mean? He's like, hey, a man's got to do what he's got to do, you know, that kind of shit, you know.
Cat's got to do what cat.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, they were fighting,
don't hate the player, hate the game.
They were fighting these things called sin cars. A sin car. A sin car was a living car that had a fucking torso on the top of it, and it was fucking armored.
Like a transformer.
Bone. Yeah, it had bone on the outside of it.
Nice.
And the wheels fucking did roll, but they were soft, squishy wheels with fucking like rubberized fucking cartilage around the outside of it. And they didn't need any fuel, so he was having Mad Max fucking chases with fucking living cars, and the cars were throwing boulders and shit at him. You know, they couldn't talk or anything. They were kind of idiots. It's all kinds of fucking weird shit was happening.
Many good drugs back then, you guys.
Yeah, I bet you that series is still out there. It's called
it might be
Traveler, and then something or other, Wanderer of the Wasteland or something.
Sandra says, I like Stephen King's On Writing. I liked that as well. That actually really, really helped me out a lot. A lot of it is, it was kind of interesting because a lot of it is like autobiographical, but he does actually give like a really lot of good writing advice in there without being like obnoxious about it. And I actually found it really helpful. I wouldn't mind like reading that again. I have a bunch of his books, but like I said, I think the newest one of his that I read was Under the Dome, which was good, but I don't really remember much about it. Yeah. Like, I think his old stuff was better. Khan's
out there saying that it sounded like what I'm talking about sounds like Damnation Alley. It kind of was like Damnation Alley. Cross between Damnation Alley and Mad Max.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, yeah. It's out there. I imagine you could probably still get it.
Yeah, you probably can.
They were good books.
Because all that stuff, I mean, people remember that shit fondly, so it's like, you know, a lot of shit's getting... And actually, I was, when I was doing one of my book reviews the other day for a book from 1981 that was like a Southern Gothic, like, horror story, a lot of the, like, paperback pulp originals, like, from the 70s and 80s and stuff, are being republished because I guess they've, like, found a new audience, like, among younger people, so they're publishing, like, all the best ones. Tammy says, did anybody read the Stephen King short story, The Long Walk? Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. That whole, the Bachman books that had, that was the one that had Rage and The Long Walk and, the fucking, what was the one with the fucking movie they made with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the game show? The hell was the name
Running
of that?
Man.
Where the Running Man, that had that in it.
Running Man. It's another good Arnie movie.
Yeah, one more, but I can't remember. But, yeah, The Long Walk was actually really good. I heard that they were adapting, I mean, they say that about every Stephen King thing, but I heard they were adapting that into a movie. I'm like, that would probably be a good movie. But it's not, I mean, it's not real action-packed. It's just, like, people walking, but it's, like, it's kind of like a horrible, like...
I liked the Running Man movie.
Yeah.
With Arnold in there. That was another good Arnold movie. The problem is a lot of that movie ended up on the cutting room floor.
It did, yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Because there was a lot more action and fighting in it originally, but they couldn't get it. They couldn't get the rating where they wanted it. They just kept cutting it and cutting it and cutting it. And there's really, if you look at it, there's hardly any fighting in the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Each little fight tastes like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's mostly just dudes like going, my cool outfit.
Oh, I'm dead.
Ah, shit.
They had to cut it all out. I mean, too bad there's no way to restore that movie.
Yeah,
maybe it's gone.
I mean, they probably could, but usually, I mean, a lot of times back then they didn't really save any stuff,
with
like
clippings.
After they cut it out.
Yeah.
The clippings, like the toenail clippings, from the movies. Sometimes they do find them later on, like if somebody thinks to keep them, especially if like the director was like, "Man, motherfucker, I don't want him to cut all this shit out of my movie. I'm gonna keep it in my garage, or whatever." But
I would love to see what it was originally supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kana Vatslan says that The Traveler is an 8-book series and it is on sale on Amazon.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
It's the future. You can get anything you want.
I thought there was more than 8 books though. Maybe it was only 8. I thought it was more like 15, 20 of them. Seemed to go on forever. Maybe it was only 8.
Everything seemed to go on forever back then.
When you were a kid.
All right, you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. So, yeah, we'll be back on another live stream tomorrow. Probably do another review because I want to watch a new one. There's a new one that just dropped on Netflix that I might want to watch that we can review tomorrow. Same time, same place. So, thanks everybody for dropping by, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bye.